Hello, welcome to the Man of Truth, aka the Villain of Truth, aka the Black Panther of Nigeria. Welcome, everyone. Today, I want to talk about. Today tends to be 1st of October, and today is a celebration of Nigeria independence. Let me put it. Hello, Rusty. Thanks for joining. Today tends to be an independent day for Nigeria. And so I'm just here to have a little bit of discussion with the audience. And let's just talk about whatever is going on within the country. Maybe not specifically what's going on in the country, but I just wanted to talk to the people. Thanks for wishing us happy independence. I know though you said it's weird, but it's a great one. I appreciate the fact that you still say yeah. You see, the word independence in Nigeria is something that the people really do not appreciate, majority of the people, but certain leaders see it as a day of blessing because for them, they most likely are going to cash out on days like this. When we say Happy Independence Day, it's more or less like it's a celebration day for certain individuals. And some people are going to scream about the independence. But I want to talk about a few things when it comes to Nigeria celebrating our independence, and we're talking about the situation of the country. Whenever I take my time to look into the situations of Nigeria, for example, one way I am grateful for certain things, and in the other way, I understand the journey and I understand the distance, and I know that there's a lot that we have to do as people for this nation to grow. And in a sense, I don't know. When I say this, people might think, oh, what's this guy actually saying? I don't think there's any other nation I would have preferred to be in than Nigeria. And the reason why I say it is that I love everything that makes Nigeria what it is, regardless of the fact that I despise certain things that actually happen within the country. I really appreciate most of the good things that I understand about that I've seen in the country, and I think it is a blessing to be in Nigeria. Unfortunately, some people would say otherwise, and some people would say, "Oh, Nigeria is a crazy country. I hate being here. I wish I should have been born in the US. I wish I should have been born in the Western culture." They always wish all kind of things. But when you see most people like that, what you observe is that the choices they make mostly in life are always wrong choices, and it is for those who are actually regretting or who haven't made the right choices in their life. These are the people who always say, I wish I came from this particular place. I think wherever God has fixed any man, or whatever has been designed by life for humans to flourish from that particular spot, it is a blessing for you. And so, when we look at the situations of the country, one of the problem I can always attest to is that people say that the challenges of Nigeria is the leaders. And I tell people whenever they say those things, is like, no, the problem of Nigeria are not specifically the leaders. I would agree that the leaders are part of the problem, but I think the problem of Nigeria are the people. The people of Nigeria are the problem of Nigeria, not specifically the leaders of Nigeria. And whenever I say things like that, certain individuals will say, what do you mean by such a statement? That the people are the problem of Nigeria, not the leaders? And I'm like, the people who became leaders are part of the citizens. The way we treat ourselves in Nigeria, when we get into the position of power, we show ourselves to be more of those things. What power and money does is that it shows exactly the kind of people that we are. It reflects the citizens in the leader, because each leader was once upon a time part of the people in the citizens, like they are part of the people. And so whatever they learned in life before they became leader, it is basically that the society prepares them to be that kind of person. And so our leaders are the reflections of Nigerians. Rusty wrote something, he says, nobody wants to be our friend. He said, men sit quietly. Fun fact, 65 countries celebrate their independence from British Empire. Nobody wants to be our friend. I'm yet to get that gist. From British Empire, nobody wants to be our friend. Okay. So what I'm saying is that the people became leaders. And I would actually touch on few things around the scriptural side to have this conversation, because Nigeria has become one of the most highest religious country in the world. Countless of people have all kinds of religions in Nigeria. And so let me look from the Christian perspective, and let's talk about it and look into what is our problem as Nigerians. And we will start with the passage of the Bible from Proverbs chapter 28, verse 2 to 26. And this passage says that lawless nations will have many bad leaders, while a smart leader will rule for a long time in a land where people obey the law. Proverbs 28, verse 2 to 26. It says, lawless nations will have many bad leaders, while a smart leader will rule for a long time in a land where people obey the law. And I can see right now, as we celebrate, today tends to be October 1st, and Nigeria is celebrating independence. I don't know what celebration is actually going on, but they say we are celebrating independence. But you can see the madness when you see a lot of people going out to protest and the rest of it. And I'm saying, I understand it is our right, but let us ask ourselves a question. Are we people of a nation that abides by rules and laws. Before we point our hands to the government and we point our hands to our leaders, looking at ourselves as people, do we obey rules? Do we follow the laws that governs the country? And majority of the time, when you look at Nigerians, we rarely follow the laws, we rarely follow the rules of the country. We don't even study law. I can remember when I was in prison, I realized there were too many lawyers that were also brought to the prison. These are lawyers who actually knew the law. And why were they in the prison? They were in the prison basically because some of them were caught selling drugs, cocaine, all kinds of things. These are lawyers. Let me read what Rusty says. Rusty says, because of colonialism, all the countries that gained independence really don't like us today. We are only wanted for investment and economical growth. Nobody likes the British, but countries love the tourism and are always trying to entice us to holiday abroad and even move abroad. Keep the British out of your country's though. That's my advice. LOL. Well, I would speak a little bit, and I'm going to speak a bit tough today. But you see, one thing about Nigeria is our country is hot. I hate wearing clothes. I love being myself. The clothes is too heavy. Now, you said something about people not loving British and the rest of it. Every nation has committed a level of atrocities in the past. Every nation has committed an amount of atrocities in the past. But like you rightfully said, when you say people do not love British, do not love UK, I really don't think people don't love the place. I think people misunderstand the UK and the British. And here's one thing. There is a fine line between where there is laws and where there are rules. And there's a fine line between where there are excessive rules within the country. When there are too much laws and certain individuals are coming from a lawless nation and they are coming into your nation, and in your nation they have too many rules, too many laws, too many this, thou shalt not breathe, you must not breathe 3 times, you must not run beyond certain kilometer of when you're driving, you can't do this, you can't get married. If you get married, the government is the owner of your children. You can't talk about this. You can buy a house and a woman is going to tell the man to get out of the house. The woman will ask for alimony. The woman can do this, the woman can do that. All these kind of things makes people despise the country. People do not hate British because of what British has done in the past. People hate British because the laws that are excessive in the British community or in the British nation. Thank you very much. Debbie Murdoch says Happy Independence Day. Thank you, ma. And this is one of the problems. I have had a lot of people who says, oh, come to British and come to UK. I have friends, I have people who practice nurse and the rest of it. In UK, there's a man that even invited me that was early this year. He's a forensic. He's from Nigeria and he's there with his family. They've been there for over 40 years. He asked me to come there. I said I can't go. And the reason is basically because there are some friends that I have right now that are back to Nigeria. And when you see the way they live and their mentality, most of them have come to realize that the laws of the nation keeps them captive. And sometimes humans want freedom. And I'm saying this, that there are two sides of the story, because when I was speaking about Proverbs 28 verse 2 and chapter 2 to 26, Proverbs 28 2 to 26, you said one thing, one old law. Bro, you don't know the half of our laws. LOL. I really, trust me, I don't know. But I know there are many. I know that I have friends there who are married to some of the people there, and they establish a lot of family here in Nigeria, not because they intentionally want to have children in Nigeria, but it is because they realize that they have no say in the things that goes on in the UK. So if a man has a family in the UK and has no leadership power over his family, and when I'm using the word leadership, is to tell people this is how I want my family to grow. And in fact, you can tell your child, this is how I want you to grow, this is how I want you to do. The government is the one telling the children how to live, what to do, and all this kind of stuff. Regardless of the benefit from the government, Africans, we kind of believe in a sense of independence. And in that independence, we also believe in leadership in every person. And if you cannot exercise leadership in as an individual in your family, because without the family, they cannot be community. Without a community, they can never be a city. And from there, they can be a state. They can't be a nation. Leadership begins from home. And if a man wants to establish a home and he does not have authority to whatever he has built, what would interest him to want to be within that particular environment? The problem of Nigeria is we don't follow law. The problem within the British or in other countries is there are excessive laws. So when you say, I don't know half of our laws, at least I know a lot of people that are my friends, including you, Rusty, that are there. And I understand a lot of my friends who have come back, and why they are rushing back to Nigeria. Some of them would even say Nigeria is an animal kingdom, just like that particular person who spoke the other time, yesterday, that I was lashing out to, Mr. Onkurodi, who says Nigeria is an animal kingdom. And I said, in the animal kingdom, there are no cage, there is forest and there's freedom. But in the place most people stay, there is no freedom because it's not an animal kingdom, but there are prisons everywhere. And you can go for prison for anything at all. For anything at all. And one of the things that has always made nation to flourish as people, to enjoy your life, you can never, let me put it this way, no human being on the surface of this earth can specifically enjoy their life without the presence of let me say, the contributions of family in his life. Okay. I mean, you don't know them as in there are laws that exist here that makes no sense even to us. It wasn't meant to be an insult, like the law above, crazy law. Yeah. Even people who well versed in British law don't know about some of our weird ones. Absolutely. So the laws were is so excessive. And you see, the way to divide people, all you have to do is to divide the families. If you divide a family, every human being comes from a family. At least a man and a woman have to be together for them to be able to produce a child. And every children needs their family for them to have a sense of joy or to have a complete emotion. And for you to have the sense of emotion, you have of a good emotion, you have to have the emotions of safety. You have to feel safe to be able to, have this kind of emotions around you. But when you destroy the family and the children have excessive freedom to say whatever they want to say and do whatever they want to do, and then they realize, like, my father has no say in my life. Some people think the children feel safe, but no, the children does not feel safe. When the parents cannot tell the children what to do, the children begin to ask themselves, why can't my parents tell me what to do? And why is somebody else telling me what to do? And that child begins to become paranoid in their head and start making decisions and start asking themselves, what is the purpose of this life if I have to become a parent? And generations after generations, people begin to experience things like this. And before you know, we have gotten to a generation where it's like everyone, whenever you talk about marriage, people talk about it's a BS. I don't want to be married. These things happen slowly simply because family have been destroyed. Now, in the Nigeria, what we have is family. And this is one thing you will realize about Nigerians. Regardless of anything that is going on in this nation currently, I don't think there's any nation that is as happy as Nigerians. Our fuel prices are so high. There's hunger in the land. There's a lot of stuff that is going on. But trust me, nobody throws party like Nigerians. And you're going to see the same people who are complaining of hunger just play music. Just see them, DJ passing and the rest of it. You are going to see them flow around and start jumping and they are rejoicing. At least you can go on social media and realize one thing: regardless of the pain that Nigerians are going through, they will be on social media and they make mockery of their suffering. They make mockery of the hardship of the country. And why is it that way? It is basically because they have a sense of belonging somewhere. But the problem of the nation is that they don't want to abide to any laws. And I say it, I speak from both sides of my mouth. Nigeria is one of the most joyful and one of the most creative people. And at the same time, Nigerians are lawless, and that is the problem of the nation. And one of the things I would say, I would read it out from Romans chapter 13, 1-3. Romans 13, 1-3. This passage actually talks about rulers are not a terror to good conduct, but to bad. Okay, let me just move to that. Let me open the Bible here. I like the lost book of the Bible. Then I convert it. Then we can touch on it. Oh. Because Nigerians, yesterday I was having a conversation and I was telling people that Nigeria would be, just give Nigeria in the next 4 years, we are going to dominate the internet space. Okay, Romans 13, verse 1-3, it says that, let every soul be subject under the higher powers, For there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. Whosoever therefore resisted the power, resisted the ordinance of God. And they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good. Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. I will read the last passages again. And the last passage, which is chapter 3, says that for rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. Now, earlier, I was talking about the problem of Nigeria. And I said the problem of Nigeria is not the leaders of Nigeria. And when I see people go out of the country and they want to say terrible things about Nigeria, whatever they are going to say is Nigeria is a terrible country. The politicians, the leaders are the bad people in the country. No, the leaders are not the bad people in the country. The bad people in the country are the citizens of the country. In fact, for you to leave Nigeria and go to a different country that is flourishing fine, and then you look at Nigeria and you call it an animal kingdom, it is a reflection of who you are. Because when you call your nation where you came from, your ancestors, where your roots came from, and you call them animal kingdom, who are you? Who are you as an individual? It is a reflection of a bad human being. You are terrible in character. And so when life is going well for you, you look down on other people because you have a mentality, like I said yesterday, it is called a kolo mentality according to Fela Anikulapo Kuti. Kolo mentality means a colonization that has happened within your country. You still have the mentality of a slavery, and that is simply that you think that you are inferior because your life is doing well, and you think you are superior and every other person is inferior. And so you address your country where you came from, you say it is an animal kingdom. At least if it's an animal kingdom, you came from the kingdom of anima into a different nation. So you are also an animal. Regardless of who you are or where you are, if you come from Nigeria and you say Nigeria is an animal kingdom, you are an animal because you came from the kingdom of animals. The difference is we are free and you have to follow rules and laws, and then you find yourself in prison. So we are terrible as people, as Nigerians, not the leaders. And the reason why I say this is basically because the leaders were once citizens and they see how the people relate. They see what the people idolize. They see what the people worship. And then when they get to the position of power, they begin to look for more money for themselves because they want to be idolized and they want to be worshipped by their people because their people worship money and they worship power. And so we start making decisions also. And the problem we have as Nigeria is that we are so good. Nigeria is so good at making bad decisions. Nigerians are very good at making bad decisions. Before the current president came to the position of power, fuel was sold for 180 naira, 190 naira. We made a terrible decision. Every single time, God wants to give Nigeria the opportunity to make the right choice, but Nigerians are professional, they are talented, very good at making bad decisions. Just for what they are about to see at the moment, they forget the future. And then one person comes and begins to spray money, 5,000 naira, give people bag of rices, and then you can't even see that this person for 4 years of your life, 10 years of your life, 20 years of your life, this person never showed up. But because this person wants to get to the position of power, why should this person be bribing me? And if this person can bribe me to get to the position of power, that simply means when he gets to the position of power, he would need to collect back everything he has given to me directly or indirectly. Common sense. There's nothing free on the surface of this earth. And then you begin to choose those side of people to be your leaders, to choose those kind of people as your leaders. Imagine during the time we have one of the best activists that have ever existed since the beginning of time. They call him Fela Anikulapo Kuti. Part of the people that inspire people like us, Very Dark Man, Seun Kuti, and the rest. And this man spoke about Obasanjo and everything Obasanjo and Yaradua, everything they've done to him and his family. We can see them in real time. The news is there. The court profile is there. Everything is there. In fact, he sang a song, he said, International Thief Thief. And these people threw his mom from the window and they threw him down. And this man advocated, spoke to Nigerians, do not elect this kind of person because Nigeria is going to be terrible. But after the activist died, the same individual, nobody else, the same individual that he warned us about, that is the same person Nigerians went to pick as their leader. When this current president wanted to become the president of Nigeria, this is what he says. He says, they said, what will you do if you win the elections? He said, I would win the election. In fact, he used a word, he said, Emilokon. What he meant by that word saying Emilokon, that means it is my turn to become the leader of the country. And for someone to have such a courage to say that it is my turn, how do you think he is there to serve you? What makes you think he is there to actually serve you? And now you can see within the period of just 1 year, Nigeria has protested for more than 7 times. I've been more than 10 times now. We keep protesting almost every single day, and people are dying every single time like flies. Even the UK combined with the US, combined with Europe, all of them combined together, they've not protested up to Nigeria in 1 single year. Why? We are good at making bad decisions. That is our problem. And one of the issues we also have as people is that when we have the opportunity, apart from choosing the bad leaders, we know we are good at that. When it comes to the idea of money, we so much glorify money. And I know that this particular mentality comes from colonization mentality. Nigerians were not built in the idea that everything we have to do has to be money. In fact, the riches of life does not necessarily have to fall under currency. I am one of the richest person that I know. And why I say I'm one of the richest person I know, it's not based on the money I have in my account. The money I have in my account, I don't even know what it can afford. But I can tell you I'm living a comfortable life. I have the right every necessary things that I need in my life, I have them intact. Wants to come to family, it wants to come to food, it wants to come to good health, it wants to come to children, it wants to come to vision, it wants to come to planning, it wants to come with farming, it wants to come to with agriculture. I have the, it comes to spirituality, it has to come to with culture, it has to come with traditions. Everything, single thing combined. Even in fact, the blessings of life are not basically the things you can see with your eyes. The real blessings of life are not the things you physically see with your eye, but the things that are actually unseen. But if you follow through the principle of life and you adapt through the principles that brings man and nature together, and you follow through that principle, mankind will flourish in life without problem. But now we all idolize money. We have countless of acres, we have countless of hectares of land that Nigerians are not doing anything about it. All the Nigerian youth wants to use iPhone 16 Pro. The same iPhone 16 Pro is enough to buy 5 acres of land in Ogun State. The same iPhone 16 Pro is enough to build 2-bedroom flats for certain individuals. But after you buy iPhone 16 Pro and you are still saving your money, before next year, they will produce another one, iPhone 17 Pro Max. Nigerians will hustle for 1 year and they go and buy iPhone 17 Pro Max. And then they hustle again. All we are doing is buying gadgets. In fact, Nigerians are known for one of the most consumable countries. They consume. They are creative, but they consume more than they create. And then the question will be, why are we not going to suffer? I came from a nation where when I was growing, I realized what was going on in Lagos, and I realized that things are kind of difficult in Lagos. And the best thing I have to do is to step away from Lagos, because I understand that if I stay in Lagos, when I was in Lagos, at some point in my life, the first money I made seriously in my life was about 13 million naira. And when I made 13 million naira, I realized that that same money cannot buy a good house in Lagos. The best choice I can make is to go back to a different state and start from the beginning, because I did not have the opportunity that my family would have given me what I want. I did not come from the luxury of a family giving me things. Yes, my father was once rich, but my father is late. And they say, I get money before, no be property. Just because my father was once rich does not mean it is a property, does not mean it's an asset. He was rich and we've lost the wealth. So I have to start from the bottom. Just like Drake said, starting from the bottom, now we are here. And when I tell people that I do not aspire to be a billionaire, out of the land, out of the acres, out of the plantations, out of the agriculture that I do, every single time I harvest, I make sure the people in my community I can give to. Even all these things are just blessing. I can give to them as much as I can and do the one for business, and I enjoy my life. I do not necessarily have to spend money for every single thing, because when you work so hard in your life, what is the purpose behind the work? And I've seen some of my friends who are in the Western cultures, and one of the things these people have in common is they keep working every single time. And when I ask them what is the problem, they're like, I have a lot of bills to pay. I'm like, no, I don't want my life to be this. Can you differentiate the time of slavery and the kind of mindset most of them have? The difference is that some of them have certificates right now and they dress in a corporate way, but they do not have time to enjoy their life. Thank you, Domo Prime. Thanks for joining. Please, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel and double tap your screen and show some like. I would appreciate while I'm rounding up. And so there are challenges of life But the reality is that a lot of suffering that goes on in our life comes in two ways, either tragedy of life or self-inflicted suffering. It is the only two kinds of suffering that man experiences on earth, either tragedies of life or self-inflicted suffering. Most of the choices we make as people is part of the things that make us suffer in life. And some people say there's nothing God cannot do. I say there are many things God cannot do. One of the things God cannot do is God will never make choice for you. Secondly, God cannot change the past. Hello, High of Creators. Thanks for joining. God will never make a decision for man, and God cannot change what has happened in the past. And so when I see a lot of people as Nigerians, every single time we want to have conversation, we begin to talk about colonization. We begin to talk about things that have happened in the past. We need to start talking about the British. We need to talk about the Europe. We need to talk about colonization. We need to talk about slavery. And I'm like, all these things are exhausting. You can't change the things in the past. We need to find a way to move forward. And if you move forward, you have to look at your leader and ask yourself questions. Why are you choosing the bad leaders? But most Nigerians are not paying attention to all these things. Most Nigerians are just interested in complaining. And so we have decided to celebrate Independence Day. It's a memorable day, the day people feel freedom. But we can't say we are truly free, because the suffering we experience today is as a choice, and the choice we are making are putting us in this condition. And now we are protesting like we never voted for the person that we voted for. We are protesting every day and night like we did not participate in the election. We made this choice. We saw what the man was saying. We saw Peter Obi. There was a man who said it's Peter Obi who has a dream and a vision, and he told us all his dreams and all his vision. And then about 60% went to vote the other man who says, this is my turn. And if you look at the history of this particular individual, who we use as our president at the moment, if we start talking, EFCC and the law enforcement and DSS will come and arrest me if I start talking about what that particular individual is record in the past. And the record is not just what I'm saying, it is what is public. Someone has done some kind of things that are like, wow. In the Western culture, the person wouldn't have been free. But we made a decision to still elect such a person. The person called his name. Now, a leader who called himself Jagaban. What is the meaning of Jagaban? The meaning of Jagaban, according to the African cultures, that simply means the boss of the tout. The boss of a tout. And then we have touts all over the junctions of Nigeria, thanks to the same person who became the president of the country. And then we were now screaming that the man is increasing fuel prices. In the transportation business, people are transporting and they are going to their places. And what the tout does is that they stop your car and they collect money for doing nothing. And so what do you expect? That the person will now get to the position of power and suddenly the person is going to change and become a great person and is going to become a nice person. Those kind of decisions are the decisions that the people make, and we are paying the price for the wrong choice we make. The difference is that God can still give us a chance, and after 4 years of our suffering, at least we are not in the land of Egypt like the Israelites who were there for 430 years. At least we are here and we are expecting that our suffering will be over in the next 4 years. If we can apply our wisdom and decide to make the right choices, Nigeria still have a chance. And the only way you can know a good leader is by being a good person. The only way you can marry a good wife is by being a good man. The only way you can marry a good man is by being a good woman. The apple does not fall far from the tree. The children are the reflections of their parents. Our choices is the reflection of who we are. And our experience is based off our choice. With that being said, I come to the conclusion of this, and I understand that Nigeria, we have a long way to go. And I pray that God is going to strengthen us and we are going to make the right choice. Hopefully, sometimes suffering is one of the things that are necessary for people to be able to open their eyes. Eye of Creator says it all. It says a good tree would never bear bad fruit. Absolutely. Wasn't far wrong. Slavery was a business, so it was a choice for many people. Okay. Yes, not yes. Okay. With that being said, I come to the conclusion of today's episode. Did I say today or this morning? Because I would have another episode around 8 in the evening. And I hope for me, I tell Nigerians we can do better. We can make choices. I don't think about my government. I rarely wake up in the morning and I think about, do I have a president or whatever. The only time I know if we have a president is maybe when I realize the fuel prices is high, when I realize there's unnecessary holidays and the rest of it, and the president bring out a speech. I do not pay attention to stuff like that. Because it is possible in this country called Nigerian, people can do a lot of things, but Nigerian youth, they are hardworking, but at the same time, they are lazy. And during the time of, is it Yaradua or Buhari? Buhari said something, he says Nigerian youth are very lazy. And when he made that statement, a lot of people were upset. What he was referring to was not the physical laziness. Labor does not mean you are hardworking. Labor is just laboring. Hard work is when you can work hard and at the same time you can apply your intelligence in your work. And what he was referring to is the mental laziness. And the problem of most Nigerian youth is that they know how to be creative, but they don't know how to use whatever creativity gift they have to plan for their future. And that is the problem. And that's why we are being enticed by a lot of things that is putting us in the position we find ourselves. But hopefully everything is going to change after a period of time. With that being said, let me read what you wrote and then we round up for today. Eye of Creator says, we are still under Roman slavery if you have a birth certificate. Then Rusty says, modern day slavery is real. I just read yesterday, people were forced to work in Hasda, Tesco, etc. No lie. It works. Most times when we talk, you see, the idea of people going to school, I think education is supposed to liberate you so you can become a good creator. But most people who tends to be educated, they are looking for a way to work in a particular firm or organization that is being created by an individual. And I'm like, if you truly have education, you should be creative and you should be free and you should have the mind of being a creator. But because it is indoctrination, not really education, that's the reason why a lot of people go to certain individuals to work regardless of the certificate, diploma, PhD, HNC, HIV, STD, whatever they have as qualification. That's the reason why they still go through all situations. But with that being said, we are going to be having different discussions later in the evening. Thank you for those who have joined me today. Hope to have discussion with you by 8 p.m. Nigerian time. Thank you all for your support. See you in the next one. Adios, amigos. Bye bye for now. Thank you, Rusty. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.